Well, hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about my potential reading plans that are coming up for, goodness, it's July already in 2025. As you know, my to-read videos are pretty fluid. A lot of the books I'm like, here's a general idea of what's on the horizon, rather than like, here's 6 books that are set in stone. So we're going to be talking about a few that are for sure set in stone, and then some that are more just like, oh, what do I like to get to? And some of the ones that are for sure set in stone are going to be the result of buddy reads. You love them, you hate them, or you love to hate them. Either way, we've got a few that are coming up this month, and there may be a few where I've misunderstood the timing here, and that may need to be adjusted. But one for sure that I know that is going to be happening in July, so we're going to start with the for sure we'll get to category, is going to be Under Heaven by Guy Gavriel Kay. I'm going to be reading this with Josh over at The Reformed Reader, who's a good friend of mine there. Josh and I have been looking to read something together for a while, and I don't think either of us have read Kay yet. I certainly haven't. I don't think Josh has either. And with Guy Gavriel Kay, everybody starts with Tigana, Lions of Al-Rasan, or Song for Arbonne, or the real like sophisticated people start with the Sarantine Mosaic, which is where I was planning on starting as well. But Under Heaven sounds really interesting, has a great premise, and is a standalone. And I don't really know anyone who's had this as their first Guy Gavriel Kay novel. I know that it is Asian inspired. And really what first gripped me about this, and I won't go into what the scene is, but Jake Bishop, who's one of the experts on Guy Gavriel Kay here on our corner of BookTube, described the opening scene of this novel, and it was so interesting and riveting, it made me want to pick it up. So we're going to be reading Guy Gavriel Kay for the first time in the month of July. The next novel that I will be getting to for sure is going to be Declare by Tim Powers. So this is going to be the 5th full novel that I've read from cover to cover by Tim Powers this year. He's definitely been the MVP of the year. I've read more of him than I think almost any other author. And I've been loving his stuff. Just like Guy Gavriel Kay is famous for his fantasy standalone novels, most of Tim Powers is standalone as well. Declare is described as like a John le Carré Cold War novel, in the same vein of like a Jason Bourne movie or book. But with your typical Tim Powers stuff, genies, demons, and Noah's Ark for some reason. So I just finished up reading, it's actually behind me right there, The Anubis Gates by Tim Powers as of the time of recording this, and greatly enjoyed it. Not his deepest book, but one of his most bizarre and wild. And I've heard nothing but great things about Declare. I've heard it universally called as one of his best, in his top 3. So this one I'm reading actually as part of a buddy read with a couple in real life friends, and we kind of pick a book to read every couple months, and Declare is the one that I got to pick. It's like, guys, I've been telling you about Tim Powers for a while, and they wanted to pick one that I hadn't read yet, so Declare fit the bill, so I'm excited to get to this one as well. Even though it's been a very Tim Powers heavy season, I don't care. I've loved every one of his books. I don't think I've, except for On Stranger Tides, which I said I wasn't in the mood for. Other than that, all of the other books of his, the 4 others, I've given 5 stars to. Some I like more than others, but I've really loved my time with Tim Powers this last month. In a similar vein, because Tim Powers kind of writes secret history, history with a twist, alternate history, adjacent type novels, I'm going to put up The Cunning Man by D.J. Butler and Aaron Michael Ritchie. So The Cunning Man and The Jupiter Knife are a duology. I think there's a 3rd book coming out from Baen sometime soon. But this is set in the time of the Great Depression, and there is a Mormon fellow who is also sort of like a common everyday household wizard who solves like everyday type of problems. But my understanding is that DJ Butler has a very good understanding, a very deep understanding of religion, but also the arcane and what things people actually considered to be magical, and where does the line of faith into magic, where is that line exactly? And that he plays with that a bit in these books. But DJ Butler has been on my TBR. I've been interested to read his stuff for a while. And these books look great. They look really interesting. In my mind, I'm pitching them as like, what if Harry Dresden was a Mormon? So I'm hoping to get to these. I don't know a ton more about the premise other than that. And I might be starting these in late June, which is why I put both the Cunning Man and the Jupiter Knife on here, depending on which one I get to first. So those are coming up. Next, we will also say, and this is the last of the ones that's for sure. In fact, we're actually going to bump this into the maybes because I'm not for sure, depending on how crowded the month gets. But I really do need to make time for Exodus from the Long Sun by Gene Wolfe. This is book 4 in his Book of the Long Sun series. This has been a highlight of my reading so far this year. It's been, I think I can pretty safely say without a doubt, the best series that I've read through so far this year. And this is the final volume. So it is time to wrap it up and get on to something else, Wolf. Maybe Book of the Short Sun, or maybe something entirely different. But gotta wrap this last entry in the series up. I can't really say much about it other than the title gives some clues as to where the story is going. Potentially an exodus from the Long Sun. So I'm excited to see how everything wraps up with that. Let's go over a few final maybes here. And the next one I'm going to say is Shards of Honor by Lois McMaster Bujold. So this is the first book in her Vorkosigan saga series. And the Vorkosigan saga is one that I listed at the very beginning of this year. I said was a series I wanted to get to. And I think Lois McMaster Bujold holds the record for a number of Hugos won by any individual person, which is insane. It's crazy. Christopher Rocchio highly recommended this series, just in general. So I've been meaning to get to it, and now that I've run out of Sun Eater until, October, November when the last book comes out, man, I maybe Vorkosigan will help scratch that space opera itch. So these books are short. I've been told they're very bingeable, and I have a few of them lined up. So if I like Shards of Honor, we have a few more that we can get to before I need to start buying new Vorkosigan novels. So my understanding is that Miles Vorkosigan is the main character of the series, but the first few novels are about his parents. And Shards of Honor, my understanding is specifically about how his parents first meet. They were on opposite sides of a space conflict, and then, as one would expect, inadvertently fall in love, start a relationship, and presumably from that relationship might Miles Vorkosigan comes. So, yeah, I've heard nothing but praise for Bujold, and because she's not writing big, new, sexy series, she's not as covered on Fantasy Sci-Fi BookTube, which is a real shame. I will say a part of this may have to do with marketing. Her books don't have the most catching titles or covers usually, so maybe that has something to do with it, but I'm excited to read them nonetheless, because I've heard nothing but good things. Also for this month, and this one is kind of up there with Exodus from the Long Sun, where it's in that in-between state between a yes and a maybe, is Master of Whitestorm by Janny Wurts. So Janny Wurts, obviously famous for The Wars of Light and Shadow, and the Daughter of the Empire trilogy with Raymond D. Feist. This is a book that my friend Zach Shea specifically pitched to me, and he said it's like the Witcher novels if they were good, which interests me because I bounced off The Witcher pretty hard. Janny is famous for being a wordsmith, for being very precise in the language she uses, which I like. This is a standalone novel. I know a lot of people kind of taste test her writing with To Ride Hell's Chasm, which I also have and am interested in. I want to start somewhere different, though. I don't hear people talk about this one as much, and because Zach recommended it so highly, I hope to get to it, and hopefully very soon. I've been told the audiobook narration for this is very good. And then the lowest on the list, both in terms of my expectation for quality and in terms of priority, is going to be the prequel novelizations by Terry Brooks and R.A. Salvatore. So this is obviously The Phantom Menace. As you know, if you've watched the channel for a while, I have a ridiculous amount of love for, right here, Matthew Stover's Revenge of the Sith. It's one of my favorite sci-fi novels. I think it is legitimately like a masterpiece. I think it improves on the story from the movie in just about every single way. So I had to have the whole set, and I found these at a thrift store for $1.50 a piece. So I had to get, yeah. So this is Phantom Menace, and then also Attack of the Clones. And there's a lot of covers for this Phantom Menace. A lot of them have Anakin or I think Padme's on the other one, maybe C3PO. Anyway, I got the one with Darth Maul, which looks cool and creepy and maybe a bit goth. So I'm not expecting these to be anywhere near the quality of Stover's book. In fact, I read about half of this one a couple of years ago and then put it down because it was basically just the story of the movie. But sue me, I like the story of the prequels a lot. I am much more forgiving of those movies than a lot of people are. There's still stupid stuff in them, but so I'm not expecting anything particularly deep or mind-blowing out of these, but maybe just some fun, easy evening reading if I need it. So very much in the maybe category. So anyway, guys, those are not set in stone. A few of them are, but these are my tentative plans for reading in July. Let me know what you plan on reading in July. If you've read any of these, let me know which ones you think I should prioritize. And yeah, hopefully you guys get to some great books this month. And hopefully more people check out Tim Powers. I know he won't work for everyone, but he's kind of one of those weird fiction writers similar to Stephen King, except he's a much better writer than King, at least in my opinion. Certainly on a technical prose level, he's a lot better than King. So I hope more people give him a shot, if for nothing else than just the weird things that he plays around with in his books that are chef's kiss to me. So thank you for watching this, guys. Take care.